Hey, awesome people. Welcome back. Mr. C here, and we are working on some more fractions. Make sure if you learn anything new, click the like and the subscribe button. Join us as we continue making math understandable and challenging. This video is going to be working on subtracting fractions with like denominators. This is the teaching video. We have worked on fractions for quite a while. You will see in the description below there is a 4th grade fractions playlist. It has all things 4th grade fractions we have covered so far, which is a ton. We've been working really hard in 4th grade. 3rd grade, that playlist is also in the description. We did a lot of work building the foundation, and we went back all the way to 2nd grade as well on our fractions. So 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, all of those fractions videos are in the playlist, in the description below. You can check out those playlists if you haven't caught up with us. This video is going to be our teaching video for subtracting fractions with like denominators using our standard algorithm equation. Let's get started. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started on this first problem, I've got 2 things I need to tell you. First thing I always say, make sure you have the correct mindset before we get started. Make sure you have a growth mindset. Remember, we use our mistakes to help us get better. We find our mistakes, we use those to help us figure out where we're not understanding, then we work on another problem. Don't give up if you make a mistake. Stick with it, okay? Second thing I need to remind you of, this is just going to be working on solving these types of problems that you see on the screen. We're going to be not using the models in this one, so if you haven't watched the video with the models, make sure you check that out. It is in the description below. This here is just going to be working through the equation on how to solve it just by using the subtraction, okay? We're not going to be drawing models, but if you need to check that video out, please do so. It's really important that you can see what we are doing, okay? So with all that said, let's look at this first problem. First thing we have on the screen is 3/4 minus 2/4. And a couple things that I want you to kind of think through when you see a subtraction problem. Okay, first things first, you probably noticed, hey, it's a subtraction problem. Great. So first thing I want you to do is I want you to check the denominators. Okay, let me spell that out here. Boom. Check the denominators, okay? Remember what we've talked about before. If the denominators are the same, if they're the same number, if they're like denominators, then we can go ahead and start subtracting them. If they're not the same, then we're going to have an extra step. So let's check these denominators real quick. For both fractions, the denominators are 4. Okay, so that means that we're going to be able to go ahead and solve them. We don't have an extra step. Okay. The second thing I want you to do before you start to solve it is I want you to picture the fractions. Okay, so I want us just to pause for a second, and I want you to literally picture what this looks like in your head. What does it look like to have 3/4? What does that look like? Because in our previous video, we drew the model so we could see what that looks like when we are subtracting fractions. It is really important that you are able to see, to visualize in your mind, even if you're not drawing the picture. In your mind, you should be able to picture what 3/4 looks like. And if you can't picture that yet, draw the model. Okay, let me say that again. If you can't picture what 3/4 looks like in your head right now, I want you to draw the model, because that's really important. You need to be able to see what you are doing when we're solving this. Okay, I don't want you to just be like, all right, Mr. C said I need to check the denominators, and I just go right into subtraction. Yeah, eventually that's what you do. But what you need to understand is you need to be able to see what this fraction looks like when we are saying we have 3/4 and we are going to take away 2/4. All right, if you're not able to picture that in your brain right now, you're not able to do that yet, make sure you draw the models. And if you need help doing that, make sure you check out our last videos that we did in the description below. Okay, so Two things. First, we check the denominators. Second thing, we're picturing the fractions. The third thing we're going to do, and I'm going to write that right here, is we are going to subtract the numerators. Okay, that's the third thing we're going to do. So we're going to subtract the numerators. So as you can tell, the reason we've kind of been working into this is right when we started fractions back in second grade, if you didn't know what the numerator was or the denominator was, you weren't going to be able to subtract very well in fourth grade. So that's kind of why we build this the way we build this. In second grade, you learn what a fraction is, what a numerator is, what a denominator is. In third grade, you learn it a little bit more. You kind of make equivalent fractions, do things like that. And then in fourth grade, we actually start solving things. We start subtracting, we start adding. And so that's kind of how it builds. And that's really important to understand. You've already learned a lot with fractions. This is just the next step. So again, you may not know how to do this yet, and that is okay. Stick with it. All right, so we're going to subtract the numerators. So let's do that. We've checked the denominators. They're the same. We're picturing in our brain what 3/4 looks like, and we're going to take away 2/4. We can see that in our head, what that looks like. Now, we're going to subtract these numerators. So we're going to do 3 minus 2. That gives us 1. Am I right? 3 minus 2 is 1. And then our final thing we're going to do is, remember, do not, and I'm going to underline it, subtract denominators. Okay, do not subtract the denominators. They're already the same. That's what we checked back at the beginning. They're already the same, so they're going to stay the same. So 3/4 minus 2/4 would give us 1/4. Okay? Pause for a second. See what doesn't make sense. Where are you confused on? Where'd you get stuck at? All right. I'm going to leave this here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to erase what we have up here, and I'm going to put a new problem up, and I want us to try it. Okay? So next problem I want us to do, I'm going to leave the instructions down here at the bottom in case you still need to write them down. This next one I want to do is going to be 4/5 minus 1/5. Okay? So let's think through it. Let's go through our steps. All right, first thing I want you to do is I want you to look at the denominators. Are those denominators the same? Yes, they are. Both denominators are 5. So there we go. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to picture what this subtraction problem is going to look like in your head. Okay, when you're looking at this problem, 4/5 minus 1/5, what does that look like in your head? Let's pause for a second. Okay. So I've got 4/5. I'm imagining a circle broken into 5 sections. 4 of those sections are colored in. And then I'm going to take away 1/5. So I've got 4/5 colored in. I'm going to take away 1/5. And I'm looking in my head right now, and I can figure out what my answer is going to be. Okay, let's see if that matches up with step number 3. Third step here says that we are going to subtract the numerators. So the numerators are the numbers on top. 4 minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. And then we do not subtract the denominators. They stay the same. 3/5 would be our answer. Is that what you saw in your head? For me, that's what I saw. What I did in my head was I saw a circle broken up into 5 equal-sized pieces. 4 of those pieces are colored in for 4/5, and then I took away 1/5. And in my head, I could see my circle having 3/5 still colored in. All right. Again, being able to see it in your head is really important. If you're struggling with that right now, that is okay. All right. Draw the picture. Draw 4/5. Draw it. Okay. Don't be afraid to draw pictures. Don't be afraid to use your hands in math. All right. This is just the next step. If you're not here yet, if you're not able to do step 2 yet in your head, do a little bit of extra work. Draw the models. All right. So take a look and see, where did you make a mistake? Something that doesn't make sense. Let's try couple more. All right, so I took away the instructions at the bottom and stuff. I've got 2 problems on the screen. Let's start with the blue fractions over here on the left side, okay? So the first thing I want us to do is look at our denominators. Are the denominators like? Are they the same? Well, let's look. Both of them are 8, so that's good news. So we can go ahead and start solving this. Remember, if they're not the same, then we're going to have an extra step. But they are the same, so we can get going with it. Second thing I'm doing is in my head, I am picturing what 6/8 minus 2/8 looks like. So in my head, I'm looking at a rectangle. It is broken up into 8 equal pieces. 6 of those 8 pieces are colored in, and I am going to take away 2/8. So I've got 6/8. I'm going to take away 2/8. I can look in my head right now, I have my eyes closed, and I can figure out what my answer is. But before I do that and say what my answer is, let's see what we get when we subtract the numerators. Subtract the numerators. 6 minus 2 is 4. We do not subtract the denominators. Since they are the same, it stays the same. So in my head, this is the exact answer I got of 4/8. Remember, some of you may be thinking, wait a second, Mr. C, 4/8, isn't that equal to 1/2? And you are exactly correct. Okay, 4/8 and 1/2, both of those are the same. Okay. Pause for a second. Ask yourself, where did you get stuck at? What didn't make sense? Remember, if you're confused, something isn't making sense, draw a model. Okay, draw a picture, break it up into 8 pieces, color it in, subtract it, do what you need to. Don't just do this in your head. That may be amazing that you can look at this and say 6/8 minus 2/8, boom, it's 4/8, Mr. C. That's awesome. All right, if you can solve it that quickly, that's great. But here's the thing, y'all. Being able to solve it really, really quickly doesn't matter, because if you get the right answer and it took you 5 seconds, and I got the right answer and it took me 45 seconds, we both got the right answer. Okay, math is not about speed. Okay, take your time, slow yourself down, make sure you can see what you're doing. All right, had to get out of my soapbox there, sorry. Okay, I just want to make sure you understand the importance of it. All right, let's go to this next one. Right side over here, last problem I have. We've got 2/5 minus 1/5. First thing I'm looking at is the denominators. They are the same, so that is good news. That means that we can get to solving it. Taking a look, picture it in your head. What does this look like? 2/5 minus 1/5. After you've done that, subtract the numerators. You get 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. Denominators, we do not subtract them. 1/5 would be our answer. Again, slow yourself down. All right, we solved that one really quickly. Make sure you understand what it looks like. Okay, and that's really the thing I'm going to stress every time in this video and in our practice problems video that's in the description below. Make sure you can see what we're doing. Okay, don't just fly through it. It's really important that you can see what you're doing when you're working on math. All right, so make sure, practice some of these on your own. Check out the description below. I do have our practice problems video link there. Try those out with me. They're going to be a little bit of a challenge. Let's keep working hard. Remember, if you learned anything new at all, click the like, click the subscribe button. Join us as we continue making math understandable and challenging. That's all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. C, out.